Great. Good evening, everyone. This is the regular Board of Directors meeting. Today is Thursday, September 10th, 6 p.m. This meeting is being held remote via Zoom remotely. Ms. Pania, can you please call the roll?
Yes, good evening, everyone. I'll start with Director Gould.
Here.
And Orzali.
Here.
Wood.
Here.
Kelly.
Here.
Sailors.
Here.
Clark.
Here.
Jones.
Here.
White. Director White, I know I saw you. Are you still there? Okay, you're cutting out a little bit, but I will turn it over to President Sheets, and everyone is here. Thank you.
All right, this is now the Metro Cable announcement. The open session meeting is videotaped for Cablecast on Metro Cable 14. Replay on Saturday, September 12th at 2 p.m. and Monday, September 14th at 6 p.m. on Channel 14. Webcast at www.sacmetrocable.tv. This is now the public's opportunity to discuss matters of public interest within the district's jurisdiction, including items on or not on the agenda. Madam Clerk, are there any speakers?
I did not receive any speakers. However, Art, if you could unmute everyone and allow any of our attendees who may want to speak for a moment to do so.
Yep, in the process. Hello, attendees. Now would be a great time to let us know if you have anything to say. Looks like no response.
Great.
All right, moving on to the consent items. Are there any questions or concerns from the board members?
Madam President, I would like to move the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
Great, we have a first and a second. Ms. Pania, can you please call the roll?
Yes, Director Gould.
Aye.
Orzali.
Aye.
Wood.
Aye.
Kelly.
Aye.
Sailors.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
White. Director White, I'll give you one more chance. All right, I know he was joining us from a strike team this evening, so I will mark him as absent for now. And Director Sheets.
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right, moving on to the first action item, fiscal year 2019 Assistant Firefighters Grant Award Acceptance. Ms. Castleberry.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, ma'am.
Excellent. Thank you for having me tonight. I'm here tonight to bring to the board a fiscal year 2019 Assistance to Firefighters Grant Award that Metro Fire has been offered. This award is for to conduct the IAFF Fireground Survival Training Program for our members. It includes a Train the Trainer program where we will be trained by IAFF to have instructors within our department. Those instructors will then go on to train the rest of the line in fireground survival training. We did apply for a total award of a little over $700,000. We were offered an award, an amended award of $478,316. They did scale down the project a bit. However, with what they offered, we will still be able to conduct the training for all of our members. So that piece of the puzzle is still intact. So after discussing it with the project team, we decided to move forward on accepting the grant award, and that is what we have with you tonight. This award will be split between fiscal years. So part of it has been added to the final budget for fiscal year 2021. The remainder of the amount will be added to fiscal year 21-22 when we prepare that budget. So if you don't have any other questions, I would recommend that the board approve the acceptance of this award.
Thank you, Ms. Castleberry. Are there any questions from the board?
Madam Chair, I'd move staff's recommendation.
I'll second.
Wonderful. We have a first and a second. Ms. Pania, can you please call the roll?
Yes, Director Gould
Aye.
and Orzali,
Aye.
Wood,
Aye.
Kelly,
Aye.
Sailors,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
White, and Sheets.
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right, moving on to action item number 2, MOU, Consumnes CSD Fiscal Year 2018 State Homeland Security Grant. Ms. Castleberry, you are up again.
Thank you again. So this action item is basically that the Consumnes Community Service District Fire Department did receive a fiscal year 2018 grant award for the State Homeland Security Grant Program. This was a regional request that included Metro Fire, City Fire, Folsom, and Consumnes. And this request was specifically for CERT supplies and equipment. So as part of that process, they are requiring us to sign an MOU that outlines basically the roles and responsibilities of each of the partner agencies. In total, the grant award is $70,000 to Consumnes. Every agency is receiving a $20,000 share of that, with the exception of Folsom. They are receiving a $10,000 share of that. We will not be receiving any direct funding. What we will be getting is supplies and equipment that are valued at $20,000. So we are actually working right now with Consumnes and with our CERT team here at Metro to identify what those needs are and put together our wish list, basically. And then Consumnes will be making the purchase and deploying those supplies directly to us. So I would request that the board approve the execution of this MOU so that we can get these much needed CERT supplies. I'll take any questions if you have them.
Thank you, Ms. Castleberry. Any questions?
Madam Chair, I'll move staff's recommendation.
And I'll be glad to second it.
Okay.
Wonderful. We have a first and a second. Ms. Pania, can you please call the roll?
Yes, Director Gould,
Aye.
Orzali,
Aye.
Wood,
Aye.
Kelly,
Aye.
Sailors,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
White, and Sheets.
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right, moving on to action item number 3, COVID-19 response units. Looks like Chief Harms and Assistant Chief Law.
Chief Law, are you there?
I am here. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
We can. I'll just kick it off real quick. Chief Law is going to give the staff report and recommendations. EMS, along with Chief Law, have been working with the county. As you know, when COVID first broke out, and it was probably about the end of April, the county health came to us and asked us to be able to put some units in service to do a lot of testing, and we had a lot of success with that. And we have another opportunity to support our community with these units. So I'll let Chief Law take it from there.
Thank you, Chief Harms. Directors, tonight I'm here to ask for your approval to authorize Chief Harms to enter into a contract between Sacramento County and our fire district to operate community care response units. These units are going to be different than the units that we had in service previously, in that we are not going to be staffing an advanced level provider with a paramedic on these units. These units will be staffed by a firefighter, paramedic, or firefighter EMT together, teams of 2 personnel. Recently, due to the challenges that our community faces with COVID-19, especially in the congregate living facilities, there's a continuing need to have mobile testing available to those populations. And with that, Sacramento County EMS requested state authorization for an expanded optional scope of practice for EMTs and paramedics to authorize them to perform nasopharyngeal collections of specimens for COVID-19. So we're coming tonight to ask for permission to staff the units with our EMTs and paramedics, which is an exciting opportunity, I think, for our providers to expand their participation in this program throughout the county. There is not going to be any fiscal impact to the district with this program. Sacramento County will be reimbursing the district for the service that is provided through their CARES Act funding that they received. So tonight, we would recommend that the Board of Directors adopt a resolution authorizing the fire chief to execute the contract between Sacramento County and the district to provide COVID-19 response units. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Chief Law. Are there any questions from the board members?
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we adopt the recommendation.
I'll second that.
And I would like to say this is a terrific program. I am so glad that Metro Fire is continuing to participate in our community response to the pandemic. So well done, Chief Law. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We have a first and a second. Ms. Pania, can you please call the roll?
Yes, Director Gould,
Aye.
Orzali,
Aye.
Wood,
Aye.
Kelly,
Aye.
Sailors,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
White, Gates.
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right, we're moving on to the final action item, fiscal year 2021 final budget. CFO Thomas.
Evening, directors. I think before I get started, Chief Harms would like to say a few words, and that will give me an opportunity to share the PowerPoint presentation. So I will turn it over to Chief Harms right now.
Thank you.
Just a couple comments. The first one is just with Aaron and Marie and the staff that supported them in working to be able to pull these grants forward. And then with Barbie, with the EMS and staff. And I think even during normal times, some of the times these abilities to complete contracts, get them done and move them forward is challenging. But I'm just really impressed with everybody's ability to pull people together and continue, where I think it could be easy just to say, hey, we're really busy, or I'm displaced from my office, to continue things forward and really not miss a step. So thank you to all of the staff that has worked on both of those. And as Director Jones said, you know, our ability to be connected to the community in maybe a little bit of a non-traditional way is really impressive. I think I'm gonna, and Barbie doesn't know this, but I'm gonna ask Barbie to share with you. They've literally developed a website where facilities will be able to go in, enter their zip code, and be able to request services through this website with the zip code, and eliminate some of the things that were challenges before for us. So great job by all of them. Tonight, just kudos to Amanda and her staff for bringing the final budget forward. There is really not a lot of changes from the preliminary budget that we brought to all of you. As we said before, we are very cautious as we move forward. We do have a surplus in the budget. We have worked very hardly as an organization to build our reserves. And I think that is us trying to be prepared for what may be the unknowns in the future. I see things kind of bouncing around and up and down, but I really think that overall the team has put together a really comprehensive budget. And some of the things I wanted to say that we continue to focus on was some of the things that we talked with all of you about, which was our investment in our capital items, investing in our apparatus. Last year, we invested in our new SCBAs and putting us in a position of spreading out our expenses. So as we water up and down, we will do well. So I'll turn it over to Amanda for her presentation now.
Okay, thank you, Chief Harms. So as Chief Harms said, I'm here this evening to present the final budget for fiscal year 2020-21. The final budget was presented to the Finance and Audit Committee on August 27th, and there haven't been any changes since that presentation. So just in terms of background and looking at getting from the preliminary budget to the final budget. So the preliminary budget was adopted on June 11th of this year. And at that time, we had a $2 million surplus in the general fund. And that really reflected a cautious approach that we're taking to this year's budget, given that, we know there's some economic uncertainty in the future. So we really did take a cautious approach and budgeted for a surplus and a continued building of the reserve. We really, again, as Chief Harms mentioned, have sort of remained in that position for our final budget that's being presented tonight. So some of the significant changes from the preliminary budget to the final budget include that we actually now have higher estimated property tax revenues. And as you'll recall, the taxable value also determines what the wage increase will be on January 1st, 2021. So we're looking at a change in that versus preliminary budget as well. So we have a 5.1% increase in net taxable value, which is based on property values as of January 1st, 2020. And that would equate to a 3% increase in wages on January 1, 2021. So in preliminary budget, we were looking at about 4.5% property tax increase and 2% wage increase. So we have that really is the primary change from preliminary budget to final budget. There were some other changes, but that accounts for the majority of the difference. Overall, the general fund revenue increase compared to preliminary budget, so going from prelim to final, is about $1 million increase, and our expenditure and transfer out increase is about $900,000. So a slight improvement to the bottom line, but we're essentially staying at about a $2 million surplus in the general fund. The other change compared to preliminary budget is that we now have our preliminary unaudited numbers for the prior fiscal year, so for fiscal year 1920, and we're estimating that our beginning general fund reserve balance for this fiscal year, so where we ended last fiscal year and started this fiscal year, is about $35 million. If we add the $2 million budgeted surplus for this year, we would be projecting a reserve at the end of this fiscal year of $37 million, or about 15.9% of our net budgeted expenditures. So that puts us over the 15% minimum reserve target that we have. So I just talked about some changes from preliminary to final budget. For the rest of the presentation, I'm really going to focus the comparison on year-to-year changes. So changes compared to our unaudited results for fiscal year 1920. So this table is showing the recommended final budget in that shaded blue column, and then our unaudited results for 1920 in the kind of peachish color. So looking at our revenues, so final budget, we're projecting revenues this year of about $230 million. That's about a $13 million increase compared to our revenues for 1920. Labor costs, about $195 million. Again, roughly a $13 million increase compared to 1920. Total expenditures, $230 million, which is about a $16 million increase. And then looking at our transfers in and our transfers out. So the transfer in is coming from the IGT fund. So that's providing $9 million of funding to the general fund. That's unchanged from last year. And then transfers out of about $7 million, with most of that going to the capital facilities fund. And that's a little bit of an increase compared to last year. And you can see sort of adding or taking our revenues, subtracting our expenses, adding our transfers in, subtracting our transfers out. That's how we get to our roughly $2 million change in fund balance. And that would be in addition to the general fund reserve. So looking at our revenue history in the general fund, not a lot of change here compared to preliminary budget. But we've seen this trend for several years. We're basically looking at our 8th year of property tax revenue growth post-recession, and our 10th year of total revenue growth. So we see that continued increasing trend. When we look at total revenue and transfers in, that's the $239 million. So that includes the IGT transfer. And of that, $166 million is property tax revenues. So this pie chart shows that the distribution of revenues, so property taxes and our tax-related revenues account for about 70% of funding sources in the general fund. The next largest are charges for services, which includes our medic fees. That's about 24%. Then we have our IGT transfer coming in, that's about 4%, and then about 1% for all other revenue sources. So looking a little bit more closely at the year-over-year change in revenues. So projected general fund revenue, excluding IGT, of $230 million. As I mentioned, that's a $13 million increase compared to last year. The primary contributors to that increase are a $7 million increase in property taxes and property tax related revenues. And then we also have a $5 million increase in deployment reimbursements. And that's really because 1920 was an unusually low year for deployments. So we're budgeting for a more normal year by recent historical standards this year, which is resulting in that $5 million increase in revenue. There's a corresponding, although not entirely offsetting, increase in expenses on the labor side, which you'll see when we get to that slide. So adding in that $9 million from IGT, that's how we get to the total sources of $239 million. Looking at our expenditures, so we have $237 million total expenditures and transfers out. Looking at this orange slice, so 13% of that is coming from services and supplies. We have about 2% taxes, licenses, debt service, other. 3% are transfers out. And then, of course, the largest category are labor costs at about 82%. And taking a closer look at the labor costs, just because I think sometimes we don't always think about the fact that labor is wages and benefits. This chart is really showing us that of that $195 million labor budget, we're getting very close to a 50-50 split between wages and benefits. So if you particularly look at the benefits slice of this pie here, I mean, you can see that about half of our benefits costs, or a little more than a quarter of total labor expenses, are coming from pension costs. And then we have about 10% of our labor costs are OPEB, and then the remaining 10% medical, dental, and other benefits. So I think this is a good visual of kind of how the labor budget breaks out. And I think, over the next several years, we're going to see that even closer to a 50-50 split. So looking at the year-over-year changes in labor costs, as I mentioned, $195 million budget, which is a $13 million increase compared to last year. So some of the significant changes compared to last year are increases in our required pension, OPEB, and medical contributions. So that's accounting for about half of the total increase. We also have deployment overtime increase. Again, that's because of that unusually low year last year. So when we're budgeting for a more normal year this year, that equates to more costs. Obviously, that's all reimbursed. So it's not a net cost, but it is an increase in cost. And then we do have that assumed 3% wage increase January 1st, 21 that I mentioned. And then finally, actually sort of somewhat offsetting these increases, we talked about this at preliminary budget, still have the same hold true for final budget, that we just deferred the next firefighter academy beyond fiscal year 2021. So we have savings there as a result of not having salary and benefits costs for recruits and drill instructors. So looking at the year-over-year changes in the other expenditure categories, the services and supplies budget totals $31 million, which is a $4 million increase compared to 1920. About $1.5 million of that is for additional contract ambulance units, about $600,000 for increases in liability and property insurance, and then $400,000 for services and supplies related to the new mobile integrated health program. The assessments, debt service, and contributions budget totals $4 million, which is pretty much unchanged compared to last year. And then we have transfers out, as I mentioned, most of that, so $7 million going to the Capital Facilities Fund. That's primarily funding debt service. And then we have about $35,000 that represents our matching share of grants going to the grants fund. And just to finish up talking about some of the other funds, because I've pretty much focused on the general fund for this presentation, but looking at the Capital Facilities Fund itself, we do have budgeted capital outlay of $7 million. So you can see listed here the investments that are being made in capital items. Looking at the grants fund, we have a total budget of about $600,000 for our open grants, including the grant that was just approved this evening. And then we have in the lease properties fund, $1.1 million budgeted lease revenue compared to expenditures of about $700,000. And finally, in the development impact fees fund, we have $7 million budgeted for the construction of Station 68. And that concludes my presentation. The recommendation is to adopt the final budget for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2021, but I'm happy to take any questions you have.
Thank you, Ms. Thomas. Are there any questions from the board?
One question.
Go ahead, Director Rosali.
Amanda, thank you so much for the presentation. It was excellent as always. Now that we've reached that mythical 15+% reserve, which is a fantastic thing, do you feel that 15% is the right percentage for an organization like ours to maintain? Is there any extenuating factors in deciding what the reserve should be?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a very good question, something that's certainly worth exploring. Just by way of background, so the policy that's in place right now establishes 15% as the minimum target. And I think that equates to roughly 1.8 months of operating expenses. The 15% is the minimum target, 50% is the maximum target according to the current policy. So we really have set a range for ourselves of 15 to 50% being where we would like to be. So I think we should feel good about the fact that we've gotten into that range, but I don't think it was ever set to be an ending point. So I don't think we should think about it as being an ending point, but we're now within the range that we've established. And I think that where we want to be in that range is dependent on a variety of factors. I think this is the fact that we've achieved the 15% and we've gotten to that target is something that we should feel good about, especially in a year when we want to make sure that we're doing what we can to be able to address what the future might bring, given that there's uncertainty. But, you know, I don't think that it means that we would be able to weather any storm that might come. And I think that that's why that 15 to 50% range exists. That helped answer.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I'm going to advocate that we as an organization review that and talk about what we know from the 2008 experience is this stuff can happen. And might we want to explore a new goal? So thank you for your time, and I would hope that the board would entertain the idea of us exploring our reserve needs further.
Thank you, Director. Any other questions or comments from the board?
Madam Chair, I make a recommendation that we adopt the final budget as proposed.
We
I'll
actually
second that motion.
We have to do each resolution separately.
Then I make a recommendation we do each resolution separately.
There you go.
And I'll second half of those.
Ms. Pania, is that sufficient, or do we need to take a motion for each individual?
No, if we could do them quickly one by one.
Perfect. Director Gould, do you want to start us off with Resolution A?
Resolution A, I make a motion we adopt.
I
Second.
Second.
Great. Can you please call the roll?
Director Gould,
Aye.
Orzali,
Aye.
Wood,
Aye.
Kelly,
Aye.
Taylor,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
and Sheets.
Aye.
Motion passes.
I'll make a resolution for the 2021 final budget for the Capital Facilities Fund 212D.
Second.
Director Gould,
Aye.
Enough.
Orzali,
Aye.
Wood,
Aye.
Kelly,
Aye.
Sailors,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Jones,
Let's be a little more enthusiastic. Aye.
and Sheets.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Madam Chair, I'll move Resolution C, the 2020-21 final budget for Grants Fund 212G.
I would second it.
All right, Director Gould,
Aye.
Orzali,
Aye.
Wood,
Aye.
Kelly,
Aye.
Sailors,
Aye.
Clark,
An enthusiastic aye.
Jones,
Sorry, I was laughing. Aye.
and Sheets.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Oh, goodness.
Okay, I'll make a motion for D, Resolution 2021 final budget for the Development Fees Fund 2121. Oh, 212I.
Perfect.
Second.
All right, Director Gould,
Aye.
Orzali,
Aye.
Wood,
Aye.
Kelly,
Aye.
Sailors,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Sheets.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, I'll make a motion for E, Resolution 2021 final budget for the Leased Properties Fund 212L.
I'll second that.
Second.
All right, Director Gould,
Aye.
Orzali,
Aye.
Wood,
Aye.
Kelly,
Aye.
Sailors,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
and Sheets.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, I'll make a resolution for F, Resolution 2021 Final Budget for the IGT Fund 212M.
I'll second.
Director Gould,
Aye.
Borzali,
Aye.
Wood,
Aye.
Kelly,
Aye.
Sailors,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
and Sheets.
Aye. Got jazz fingers.
Final budget is passed.
All right, moving on to reports. President's report. I have nothing to report, but I'd like to call a moment of silence at the end of this meeting in honor of the 19th anniversary of 9/11 and all of those who lost their lives.
Right on.
Moving on to the fire chief's report. Chief Arms.
You're muted, Chief Harms.
Rookie mistake. Thank you, directors, for all the support for the budget as we move forward. A few things going on. On September 1st, we hired logistics tech Anthony Berkey. Welcome, Anthony, to logistics. On 9/25, Captain Sean Burke took a spot on EMS 24 on A shift, and he'll start his role over there in that new assignment. So welcome, Sean, to kind of a quasi staff field position. As far as meetings go, a lot of my week has been, in the last 2 weeks, has been about EMS, our 201 rights, and working with our partner agencies and the county for putting our plans together for moving forward. Right now, we have some meetings that will be tomorrow, and then next week to continue to strengthen our 201 rights as we move forward. We had on the 3rd, the California Metro Fire Chiefs monthly meeting. Today, two things would have been going on. One, we would have all, or a few of us would have been in DC, and the California Fire Chiefs annual conference would have been going on, but both of them have been canceled. So they had a one-day, half the people were in place and half were on Zoom for their meeting. And I also attended a meeting with the Urban Fire Forum, which is the national and international group, and we talked about diversity, equality, and inclusion in the fire service. And they went through a number of cities and talked about their plans and what they had done over the time. I had an opportunity, myself and Chief Bridge went down on Tuesday and saw our crews down in Santa Rosa, visited one of the strike teams down there, the strike team leaders. I think Mike Lozano is going to talk to us just a little bit about ops, and I think they actually are back into town, but they were doing very well. They had just come off the line. They were looking forward to getting some rest, getting something to eat, and taking a shower, and going from there. The last two things are kind of unique items. This week is the Suicide Prevention Week. Our peer support team has put together some videos, information, and each day are delivering that information out to the membership. It can be a difficult conversation to have, but we feel it's such an important conversation. Statistic-wise, it's not really tracked, but they feel that suicides in the fire service actually it could be 2 to 3 times higher than line of duty deaths that we have. A number of our peer support team have really stepped up each day, putting out information, putting out flyers, and really breaking down what can be a tough conversation. So my hat's off to that group that really took it on and moved forward. And thank you, President Sheets, for the moment of silence. This is the 19th year of post 9/11. Normally tomorrow or over the weekend, we would have had the annual 5K or 10K run. Tomorrow, a number of us all would have been down to climb the stairs along with the city firefighters in memorial and memory of the 343 firefighters. In one moment, it seems like it was yesterday, and on the other side, it's hard to believe that 19 years have gone by, and it has been very quickly. So thank you for that. And please tomorrow take a moment to reflect on 9/11 and 2001. That ends my report unless you have any questions or comments for me.
Thank you, sir. Any questions or comments for the chief? All right, thank you, sir. Moving on to the operations report, Chief Lozano.
Hey, good evening, Board of Directors and everyone. This is Mike Lozano, Assistant Chief on the A shift commander. I'll have your ops report tonight. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So since our last report on August 27th, we've had 3,864 calls for service between Metro and AMR. 3,021 of those dispatches has resulted in 67% of transport, percent of the time we transported. We've had 6 building fires, structure fires since our last report. Our busiest engine was engine 53 with 183 responses. Our busiest medic was medic 53 with 181 responses. As Chief Harms alluded to, the state has been very active on the wildland front. As of September 9th, yesterday, there's been a total of 7,606 fires in the state that we've burned just shy of 3 million acres. That makes 2020 the largest fire season on record in California history, according to CAL FIRE. As you guys know, we've been involved from the beginning of this fire season with multiple OES strike teams, one of which has just returned. Our Type 3 strike team has just returned tonight. We anticipate that Type 3 OES strike team in the region will go right back out within the next couple of days. There are still multiple orders for resources. We've also had members out on incident management teams, as well as overhead and staff positions on these incidents. And we've also done a number of initial attacks to our initial attack fires with our neighboring fire districts. The membership has done just a phenomenal job stepping up and giving us the ability to backfill behind all of these deployments. Labor has been very active and supportive with everything that we've done and all of the resources that we've sent out. We just recently, yesterday, sent a cover engine to AEU at Station 20 in Camino. They had next to no engines after they had the El Dorado fire and then a fire in Smartsville. And so we were able to, with labor support and the membership support, send a cover engine to give them some relief up there. They'll be up there for the next couple of days. But again, that's all because our membership has stepped up. Also on a great news is we have no members off right now currently for COVID related exposures or COVID itself. So that's very positive. And if you don't have any questions, that's the end of my report.
Thanks, Chief. Any questions or comments for the Chief? Thank you, sir. All right, moving on to firefighters local 522. Mr. Goldrick, are you on the line?
I am. Good evening, President, Chief, and Board of Directors. I apologize for no video tonight. Apparently I could do video or audio, so I chose audio. I hope everybody had a good Labor Day. As you said, with 9/11's 19th anniversary tomorrow, we're unable to do our traditional prayer time. However, firefighter Trimble at Station 51 put together an informal climb at Castle Peak tomorrow, which basically mimics the same prayer time. So I want to for that and thank her. Also, as the operation report stated, we have 29 personnel in our agency in both initial attack and overhead assignments. And I'd also like to thank Grant Gould for meeting with us this past week. It's good to have dialogue and conversation with the directors. That's all I have for tonight.
Thank you, sir. You're a little broken up, but I think we got the majority of it. Are there any questions or comments for Mr. McGoldrick? Thank you, sir. All right, moving on to committee and delegate reports. Executive committee, we have not met in some time and we do not have a meeting planned. Moving to Communications Center JPA, is Chief Shannon on the line?
Yep, I'm here. Good evening, President Sheets. Comm Center met this last Tuesday on the 8th. Happily report, they had a couple of promotions. Elizabeth Strong was promoted to EMS supervisor, and Catherine Shelton was promoted to dispatch supervisor. So we're looking down the road a little bit. They're going to try to accommodate an academy sometime early December with 4 new members. That is in the works. And lastly, just to report, about the last 7 months, they've been working out the bugs and testing the Pro QA. It's a new software that's going to make the dispatchers day and ability to do their job much better. It'll, make it easier for them and hopefully translate that to the troops. They've been, like I said, they've been working on that for about 7 months. They're looking at a go live date of December 6th. With that, that's the end of my report. Next meeting will be September 22nd.
Thank you, sir. Any questions or comments? All right, moving on to California Fire and Rescue Training, JPA, Chief Shannon.
Thank you again. The California Fire Rescue JPA, there is no report. We will be meeting next Thursday, the 17th at 4 p.m.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to the Finance and Audit Committee, Director Orzali.
The Finance and Audit Committee is scheduled to meet again on September 24th. And beyond that, there's no new report.
Thank you, sir. Moving on, Policy and Committee, Director Gould.
No report.
All right, we'll move on to board members' question and comments. Director White, were you able to join us? All right, moving on to Director Jones.
Thank you, President Sheets. Again, the community response unit's great opportunity to participate and be active members of our community. And an additional shout out, thank you for staff. I had some questions about the consent items earlier in the week, and I harassed staff plenty to get the answers, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
All right, Director Clark.
Madam Chair, all I want to add is that we reflect on the lives lost during 9/11. It's like the chief said, it doesn't seem like it's been 19 years already. So, but and I'm really sorry that we can't do the remembrances that we do every year. I was looking forward to the walk and not the run, the walk. So anyway, that's all I have to add tonight.
Thank you, sir. Director Wood.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In addition to the 9/11 losses, I think we need to include in there firefighter and EMT Diana Jones from Texas, who was lost in fighting one of the fires here in California. And we also should remember at least some well wishes for the 3 firefighters that were injured Tuesday in the Dolan fire.
Thank you for that. Director Orzali.
I just wanted to commend the staff, particularly our CFO, for the great work that she does. And I also want to express my appreciation to Arthur Hong for helping me with this, the iPad and Zoom technology. I did not have gray hair when he got to my house, but he does now. Thank you for that.
Great, thank you. Director Gould.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to echo the sentiments of my colleagues and also just have us take a minute and pause about some of the actions that we've taken this evening. Think about where we're at from a budgetary standpoint. We've achieved a goal that we set many years ago in a way to have a safety net for all of us moving forward in these uncertain times. And I just think it really is a testament to the overall management of this organization, from the men and women who do it on a daily basis to the directors and the chief. And I guess I want to say congratulations to everyone for what a wonderful job from a policy standpoint that we're in the position we are. We've made some solid, good decisions over the last couple of years with the support and the work alongside our labor groups. And I think we're really to be celebrated as an incredibly good example of how local community government can work efficiently It's a pretty awesome experience. And of course, I want to also take a moment to pause for all of those that have lost their lives as public safety professionals, whether it was in 9/11 or on the day-to-day job. This is a dangerous place, and I also just want to make a public comment that we need to continue to support our men and women in blue. Thank you.
Thank you for that, sir. Director Sailors.
I would just like to echo everything that Director Gould just said. Ditto. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Director Kelly.
Yes, as the other directors have already articulated, one thing that I would like to say is that it's very nice that none of our members, excuse me, none of the members of Metro Fire right now are off due to COVID. So that means everybody's been gotten healthy and returned back to their work. So I'm happy to see that. And I hope that, and I'd like to compliment our organization for being there for others in their time of need, just like we're there for our own constituents. I hope everybody stays healthy and safe. And I would, excuse me, I got a little cough. Hope it's not COVID related. I think it's just a sore throat.
Nobody hang out with him.
We'll find out.
Drink some water.
Yeah. Nonetheless, and I also wanted to thank Amanda Thomas for bringing in another budget that was finally explained and one that our district can manage. Everybody have a nice nice evening.
Thank you for that. At this time, I'd like to call a moment of silence for not only the firefighter who lost her life, but also the firefighters that were injured, and also a moment of silence for the 9/11 victims. Thank you. And with that, I'd like to adjourn this meeting. Next board meeting is September 24th. Everybody be safe out there.
Bye-bye. Good job.
Thank you, Madam President. Everyone,
Good night,
good evening.
everybody.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Be safe.